Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ms. Pichardo, and today I would like to present a little bit of history about the United States. Currently, in the 21st century, many Americans tend to be distracted by the society in which they live in. There are people who are distracted by their phones, social media, entertainment, work, bills. Let's just say enough to say no one in America ever stops to think on how the United States fought for their legal rights that has shaped America today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The U.S. War of Independence, known as the American Revolution, began in 1775 and ended in 1783. This war was a conflict between Great Britain and the 13 colonies which declared independence as the United States of America. The main strategy of the British in the Revolutionary War was to capture all the cities and force the colonists to surrender. The British successfully captured Boston, New York, and Charleston. However, the colonists did not quit. They did not surrender, and they held onto that countryside. One of the key battles of the war, led by George Washington, was in the South, where the British finally surrendered in Yorktown in 1781 with the help of the French. However, this war caused a huge amount of debt, and many soldiers fought this war unpaid. Joseph Punt Martin himself stated they were starving in detail for an ungrateful people who did not care what became of them. There were other colonists who refused to fight, and in return, their property and rights were confiscated. Not only were the soldiers suffering, but colonists were also being taxed without representation. Many of the colonists refused to pay taxes and went on strikes. Due to these series of events, it led to the Declaration of Independence. Now, before the Declaration of Independence, there was a similar document created known as the Common Sense, written by Thomas Paine. This document was published in January 1776, and what it did is it argued that it was time for America to become independent and break away from the British Crown. Paine explains a list of common sense reasons to why. One is that Paine believes that it is common sense to know that America will prosper with or without Great Britain. America did not need to be attached to England in order to succeed. Paine also argues that King George III did not care for the people of America. He argues that he only has a vested interest for America, to which is why he did not let America fall. Also, once the war had begun, it was time for America to declare the independence and separate themselves from Parliament and King George III. As time had carried, on July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was drafted by Thomas Jefferson and adopted by the Second Continental Congress. Although Thomas Jefferson authored the Declaration of Independence, many of his ideas were plagiarized from John Locke's ideas of philosophy. John Locke provided the idea of a government by the people, for the people. He believed in equality, government control, and safety. Therefore, Thomas Jefferson restates this idea. To back up the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson shares evidence known as the 21 grievances, many that were against the king. Here is a list of some grievances Jefferson states towards King George III. 1. King George III was quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, which Thomas Jefferson states forced colonists to house and pay for British troops. The second one, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit, immunes soldiers from colonial law. Next, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, closing the Boston part. And lastly, King George was imposing taxes without the Americans' consent. The king would provoke the Indians to attack the colonists. Thomas Jefferson believed the purpose of government was to protect life, liberty, and happiness. Now,
created using Powtoon.